Okay. What year were you born?
I was born in 1922.
What day of the week? Do you know what day of the week it was?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did your parents tell you anything about the day you were born? Anything special?
No.
No? Why were you given the first and middle names that you have?
I didn't have a middle name.
What do you first remember as a child?
Being part of a big family.
How many people were in your family?
At that time that I was born,
Mm-hmm.
there were about 6 of us.
Really?
I'm one of 8 children. I'm number 3 in the line.
Uh-huh. And who were your brothers and sisters?
Pardon me?
Who were your brothers and sisters?
Bob, Sally, myself, Helen, Joyce, Jan,
Larry, Leonard.
Larry and Leonard were born after
You were.
Jan. Janet.
Okay. So it must have been pretty crowded at the house there.
Oh yes,
Okay.
it was. We all slept wherever we could in the room.
Uh-huh.
We were in a place upstairs from a sponge factory on Tam Avenue, and we all slept wherever we could. There was no separate bedrooms.
Didn't we go
slept
by?
on the floor, we slept together, we slept in a closet. It was upstairs from the sponge factory downstairs.
When did you move to the Wellston area, that over there?
On Easton Avenue?
Yeah.
It was on Easton Avenue, or Page, one
Right.
of the
No,
two.
Easton.
I can't
Yeah.
recall.
Right. What was the name of that street?
Page, I believe.
Okay. What did you do in the neighborhood? Did you play in the neighborhood? Did you have friends in the
Well, we
neighborhood?
mostly played with each other and
Uh-huh.
went to a where'd we go to a camp or can't think of the name. Sherman Park.
Uh-huh. You went to the park
We
during
went
the
to the
day?
park and we swam at the pool and
What pool?
what pool? I don't know. In Sherman Park, I don't know what the name of the pool was.
Okay. All right. What do you know about your parents? Tell me about your parents.
Well, they were born in Lithuania,
Mm-hmm.
Poland,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in Poland. They were second cousins. They
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mother was 16 and father was a little older, I believe. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. And that was your mom. Your mom was Annie.
My mom was Annie.
Mm-hmm. What was your father's name?
Joseph Benjamin Gross.
Okay. And what did he
They called
do?
him Ben. They called him Ben mostly. But his name was Joseph Benjamin.
And what did he do?
He was a plumber.
Okay.
He owned a plumbing shop.
Got it. And did your mom ever work?
Not that I know of. She only worked in the house, you know.
Okay. Who was more strict?
My mother.
Your father wasn't strict?
He was busy working
Okay.
most of the time.
Do you have any kind of memory that you were possibly did something wrong and were disciplined for, or got into trouble
Well, we
with your parents?
clowned around a little bit. We laughed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I remember. And the only time that I wasn't disciplined, but my older brother Bob, because we were giggling and laughing, Helen and I together, he got angry.
Really?
He didn't like us to make any noise.
Would you say your parents had a good marriage?
As long as I know, I believe they did, but I'm not positive because
Right.
I didn't. When I was little, I didn't remember.
Right. And what happened to your father? Did something happen earlier to that you? When did he die?
He died in 1937.
Okay. And how old were you?
I was 17 at the time. I was in high school then.
Got it. And where'd you go to high school?
Soldan High.
Mm-hmm. And what year was your graduating class?
June 41.
Mm-hmm. And you already said your dad was a plumber.
And he owned a plumbing supply shop.
Okay. And how did your family, so he died when you were 17. How did your family make money after he died?
Well, my mother was a member of, she was the oldest of 8 children herself.
Mm-hmm.
So her siblings didn't like the idea of her going to work with all of our children, all of us, when we were left without dad.
Mm-hmm.
So she decided she was going to be a personal shopper for her friends. Like she would go to the dry goods store and buy sheets and pillowcases for them, and then charge them when she came back with it. She made her money that way. But her siblings, her younger sisters and brothers, didn't want her to work at all with all of us. We were going to go to an orphanage. So instead of sending us to the orphanage, Mom decided that she would help other people. Yeah.
And
She had a lot of family, cousins, second cousins.
right. Who in particular? Who were those cousins? Who are we talking about? Her siblings.
Who were the cousins?
The siblings.
The siblings?
Yeah. Who?
Her siblings
Uh-huh.
was, she was the oldest of 8. Aunt Adele was next. Aunt Jean was next. Uncle Jack and Uncle Al and Uncle Al and Uncle Bert.
Okay.
He was the youngest boy. But there was Aunt Lil. She came in there between something. I'm not sure which one she came in between. And Estelle was the youngest girl.
Mm-hmm. Well, in comparison to other people in the neighborhood, were you poorer, richer, about the same as everybody that you grew up with?
Average, sort of average.
Average,
Yeah.
okay.
We managed to get along
But
in one neighborhood.
But you were struggling, right? Because your father.
We weren't that poor,
Mm-hmm.
but we never starved.
Mm-hmm. And
Mom would make all kinds of things do. She would shop, and whenever they had a sale on groceries, she would buy 2 of this and 2 of that to have enough supplies for all of us for
Uh-huh.
the food. That's as far as I know. I don't know if that.
so you've already said you had 11 brothers and sisters.
8,
8.
7
Seven?
brothers and sisters beside me.
Oh, okay. And so tell me a little bit about each one. Start with Bob, the oldest.
Bob was the oldest, and he was a little more bossy.
Mm-hmm.
He looked over, made sure that we were okay. Sally was the second one, and she helped babysit or whatever, you know. And then there was me, and I was helping the younger siblings. I was in charge of them.
And what about Joyce and?
Joyce? she was after Helen,
Mm-hmm.
and then Janice. Yeah, then Janet, and then Lawrence, Leonard, and Lawrence Lawrence was the baby.
Okay, so you've already said something like about Bob and Sally. What do you remember about a little bit about each one of your brothers and sisters, like Leonard, Larry? What do you remember
see.
about them? Joyce, Janet.
I'm trying to think. Bob was always busy. He was working with an engineering company when he was older. Before the war.
Mm-hmm.
And Sally, she was doing a lot of babysitting with us. And I was the first one to graduate high school. During the war, when the war came, Bob joined the Navy Seabees, an engineering division, and Sally joined the Women's Army Corps, the WACs. And Bob was in the Admiralty Islands with the Seabees, and while he was there, he liked to work with wash machines. And he made an ice cream machine out of an old wash machine in the Admiralty Islands.
Mm-hmm.
120 degrees they had ice cream. And it was written up in their paper. And I have pictures. I'm going back and forth.
You're doing
I'm
fine.
going back and forth. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, what else?
Well, Sally.
And Sally, she used to drive a truck in the Women's Army.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was a cook. And then after the war, after the Japanese surrendered, she came home and she had a nervous breakdown. So I had to stay home and make sure she was okay. And during VJ Day, there's so many things I have to bring up back and forth.
That's fine. Keep
that
going.
all right?
Yes, absolutely. We want to hear it
Okay.
all. So we're talking
After the war,
talking about Sally.
Sally had a nervous breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Then when she was in Topeka, Kansas, at rehab, she married one fellow
Mm-hmm.
that thought she was rich. Her family was rich, and he beat her up.
Mm.
So she divorced him.
Mm-hmm.
Then another one, she had a car. She owned a car, automobile, and the other husband thought that he should have that car, and she gave it to him. Supposedly, that's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband at that time, Irvin asked him if he would pay the insurance on the car, and he said no, she gave him the car. So he didn't get the car. So I don't know what happened to it after that, but Sally was not responsible at that time.
Yeah, and now who was next? Leonard. We got Bob, Sally.
Leonard and Larry were the two youngest boys.
Mhm.
They were younger.
Okay.
So what was Joyce? Helen?
Yeah, Helen.
Helen got married very young,
Okay.
and she had a son, Donnie, and he joined the service, and he got married, and he had a baby, a son.
Okay, so then there was, so
And
we've got
then,
Helen, and then we've got you,
And Joyce.
then Joyce was your younger
Joyce was
sister?
married, got married very young,
Mm-hmm.
and she had a son, Ronnie. Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going over
All right,
all of
hold
that.
on, hold on.